As a manager with a team member about to start an apprenticeship, where do I get involved at that stage?
Very much from the early phases. A manager needs to be on board from the absolute beginning of any apprenticeship. Even from the first stage is going to be filling some forms in. The forms themselves that the learner has to do, they may need support with them. So help them get through that, help them get things done on time, make sure that any questions, answers they may need, you're ready to help them with. I think also you come in quite early because we have what's called a meet and greet. That's with a tutor, with yourself and a learner. Before they really come onto programme. And the reason we do that is so that everyone's on board with what the programme's all about and what they need to do and what your role is in it, as well as what the learner's role is as well. So right from the beginning, you're involved.
And during the apprenticeship, what will my role be to support the apprentice?
I think the manager's role is pivotal to the apprenticeship, because the apprentice are going to learn a whole load of new things. They're going to need your support in probably thinking about stretching and challenging themselves within the workplace to kind of, they've learned something maybe from a taught session, they need to put it into practice, and that's where you as a manager are going to be able to support them in actually putting it into practice. You've got to think about, you need to be providing the time for that apprentice to do their apprenticeship work. That's where off-the-job learning comes in. You need to ensure that you're managing that, because you'll have times where you might have your apprentice needs to get work done for the apprenticeship, and it's finding the right balance for when you actually need to do your own work as well, when you've got pivotal moments as well. So it's very much working together with specifically them areas. You still got to get involved with things like reviews and endpoint assessment, which I'm sure we'll come on to shortly. But I'd say at this stage, you're everything during the whole apprenticeship. You're an important part of it. And
in terms of the endpoint assessment we just mentioned, what will be my role as the manager of apprentice with EPA?
Well, if you think about an apprentice and endpoint assessment, you're with them the whole journey, you're holding them hands, you're getting them there, you're mentoring, you're doing all this great stuff with them. It then comes to the gateway. The gateway is like the pivotal bit. It's the most important part for the apprentice up to that point, because that's where everyone's saying, do you know what? You can't learn any more for this apprenticeship. We as a provider are saying, you're ready to go for endpoint assessment. You as a manager are saying, do you know what? I think you're ready to go for endpoint assessment as well. So then at that gateway, we're all in agreement, then the apprentice will go on to do the endpoint assessment. During that phase, they're going to need support. It's not like a little test that you do. It's there could be discussions, there's projects, there's loads of different elements that could make up what that endpoint assessment is, and it can be quite turbulent for the apprentice. So you're going to be there probably as a mentor. You might have to G them up, make sure they got things done on time, make sure that the correct forms are filled in, etc. as well. But you're going to be there with them, holding their hands and mentoring them probably through that phase to get them to the end. And if at this stage, I'd just like to say, I think at the end, you're going to be involved as well, because your learner, your apprentice has gone through that whole journey, and you need to be there congratulating them, doing something for them. But then I also think that you as a line manager, you should be patting yourself on the back at the end of any apprenticeship, because you've got them, you've helped on that journey as well, so you deserve some credit as well, I think.
Brilliant. And in terms of the journey as a manager, I'm going to be taking with the apprentice from start to finish. What are some of the common challenges that we come across with supporting our apprentices?
I think time is the biggest challenge. You've got this requirement that's set out by the government, tends to be 6 hours per week off the job learning. It's sometimes, as alluded to earlier, it's you making that time available. And that in itself can be challenging because you've got your own work commitments that you need to fulfil. I think knowing what all the different points of what off-the-job learning actually is would benefit you greatly, actually.
Excellent. And any final sort of end words for a manager at the beginning of the journey that you'd like to share with them?
I think make sure that you're there for the apprentice all the way through. I think if there is a review meeting, then be on that review meeting because they're like really important, a really important thing that you need to be on because it's where you're looking at progress, you're looking at everything else. So make sure that you're at that review meeting. Make sure you keep on talking to the tutors to make sure that you know how things are going. You're going to have challenging times. Talk to people. Talk to your apprentice. We're all going to get that apprentice through, but it's all about communication.
Brilliant.